of things this case has stopped me from doing, traveling all across the world, making. So I just want to get it over with, and, you know, accept my guilty plea. I'm ready to get over with.
Anything you want to say to your fans?
Just say a prayer for me. I just need prayer. I don't need nothing else.
Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. I said, well, wait.
Boosie might be staring down a 10-year federal sentence. And the moment that news hit the blogs, Charleston White was first in line to clown him. He hopped on live acting like it was Christmas morning, laughing nonstop and saying he always knew Boosie would land behind bars. He even bragged that he'd been waiting for this moment just to celebrate it, going as far as saying he wouldn't care if Boosie never walked free again. What makes it wilder is Boosie had already told his fans earlier this month that he agreed to a plea deal just to stop fighting. He admitted he was worn out and thought taking the deal was his best option, even though this case had actually been dismissed once before. But prosecutors came back harder in 2024, dropped a new indictment, and now the man could end up serving over a decade. And while Boosie is out here posting emotional prayers about trusting God and feeling exhausted, Charleston White is online popping bottles like it's his birthday. For those who don't know, Boosie's been tied up in legal mess for years, but this gun charge hit different. He was busted for being a felon caught with a firearm, a charge that's nearly impossible to dodge. This one might be the fight that finally brings him down. At first, it looked like Boosie had beat the odds. When the case got tossed in 2023, fans were celebrating, thinking he could finally lock in on music and family. But the feds weren't done. By 2024, they came back swinging with a fresh indictment on the exact same charge, basically saying, "Nice try, but we're still coming for you." That's when Boosie finally broke down and took the plea deal. He even went on X and confessed, "I thought this case was over and I was going to get on with my life. But God don't make mistakes and I'm tired of fighting." That raw honesty showed just how drained he was. Anyone who's followed Boosie's journey knows he's been dodging danger from the jump. Whether it was street beefs, courtrooms, or even health scares, he always found a way to survive. But this time feels different. 10 years ain't just a slap on the wrist. It's a whole chunk of life gone. And the weight of that reality came through in every word he typed. But while fans were busy sending prayers and lifting Boosie up, Charleston White was out here playing the villain. He hopped on live grinning from ear to ear, bragging that he called this from the start. Charleston flat out said he never believed Boosie would beat this case. And now that it's locked in, he's happily rubbing salt in the wound.
Going to jail! Oh, God! Oh, God is good. I keep telling y'all, street ain't got no God. God do not look after street. Boosie really thought he wasn't going to jail for that pistol. I knew he was going. He going to jail. All that newborn baby. Boosie won't get to see that newborn baby till that baby be walking and talking. Boosie going to jail!
Charleston even went as far as saying he hopes Boosie dies in jail, which is outrageous even for him. But then again, this is the same man who built his whole brand off being the loudest troll in hip-hop. What made it hit harder was the timing. Boosie hadn't even had a chance to process his sentencing before Charleston was already turning it into a comedy skit for the internet. Now, trolling is nothing new for Charleston, but his fixation on Boosie feels way too personal. Anytime Boosie runs into legal trouble, Charleston pops up instantly, almost like he's been waiting on it. That's why people keep asking, why does Charleston White hate Boosie this much? It's clearly deeper than random internet antics. These two have history, and their beef has been simmering for years. It traces back to late 2022, when Kanye West had the world buzzing with that White Lives Matter shirt. Boosie spoke out, calling Ye disrespectful to black people. And honestly, most folks agreed with him at the time. But Charleston, he jumped online blasting Boosie for even speaking on Ye, and that's when things went completely left. Instead of just throwing shots at Boosie, Charleston dragged his son Tootie Raw into it, and even T.I.'s son, King Harris, He called them ugly, said they couldn't fight, and even predicted they'd end up locked up. This wasn't just trolling anymore. Charleston was going for blood.
He brought you up because you were attacking Kanye because of the...
Nah, that was before. This Kanye West shit just happened. Nigga been coming at me. He been coming at me. It's just, you know, I can't respond to those people, bro. Like, that's a danger to what I got going on. Can't take no risk of losing this shit behind, you know.
That's when folks realized Charleston wasn't just another internet troll. He was willing to hit below the belt, even dragging kids into the mix just to cut their parents deep. The real shocker, though? Boosie didn't snap back. Instead of giving Charleston the explosive reaction everybody expected, he kept it cool. During an interview with Tony the Closer, Boosie admitted he had to move careful because saying too much could easily land him right back behind bars, especially once kids got pulled into the mess. So instead of wilding out, Boosie played it safe, keeping his response calm and measured. Here's the clip where he broke down exactly why he refused to go off the way people thought he would.
I really got no opinion on him because, you know, my opinion can send me to prison. So I ain't really, you know, I ain't really got no opinion on him. You know, once you go to threaten people's kids, talking about you out of line. So, you know, I ain't the one gonna do all that. I ain't gonna do all that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, hey, you know, certain people you can't really express opinions on, and he one of those. You can't express how you feel because you might end up in prison. I ain't getting tricked off the streets.
That one line said it all. Boosie wasn't scared of Charleston. He just knew Charleston was the type to bait him into saying something reckless that could land him back in a cell. So instead of snapping, Boosie kept it cool, at least on the surface. But by early 2023, the beef was boiling over. Charleston was already trolling T.I. over his so-called paperwork party, and then Boosie's son Tootie decided to clap back, calling Charleston old, messy, and even telling him to go die. Of course, Charleston being Charleston, he cranked it up 10 notches. He went live saying, "I hope your daddy died from that diabetes. I hope they don't even send the insulin this month." Like, who even says that? He basically wished death on Boosie just to get at his son. Then, not long after, Tootie actually got arrested on gun charges, and Charleston wasted no time taking credit. Charleston bragged about tipping off the cops, claiming he sent pictures straight to the Department of Public Safety. He even accused Boosie of being a 6-time convicted murderer who used kids to handle his dirty work. That was the moment this beef jumped from internet trolling to real-life damage. And it didn't stop there. Barely 3 months later, Boosie himself got arrested again in San Diego after a court hearing, and Charleston pounced. He hopped on Instagram Live, laughing and saying it was God's plan, even comparing Boosie to Daniel in the lion's den, like prison was some twisted test from above. This wasn't trolling anymore. It was a straight-up obsession.
Them white folk, Boosie, you done got too much. You done let these niggas play you too mother. This internet book dumb and it. Say what Lil Tootie gonna do now? What Lil Tootie say? Listen, Vlad TV. Vlad post everybody going to jail but Boosie. Somebody tag Vlad TV.
Charleston flipped Boosie's arrest into a whole sermon, making it sound like his struggles were some kind of punishment from above. Fans couldn't even tell if he was dead serious or just trolling for laughs. But either way, it came off straight up disrespectful. Months later, Boosie finally addressed it on Vlad TV. He admitted he didn't even want Vlad giving Charleston a platform after everything he said about Tootie. And once again, Boosie reminded everyone, he wasn't scared, just determined to keep his freedom. Still, it was obvious Charleston was living rent-free in his head. By early 2024, the drama had spilled deep into internet culture. Aiden Ross was supposed to have Boosie on stream, but Boosie pulled back. He didn't want Charleston's name attached to anything. That's when Aiden flipped the story, claiming he rejected Boosie out of loyalty to Charleston White. That messy twist blew up until DJ Vlad stepped in, roasting Aiden for siding with a guy who had literally praised Hitler and denied the Holocaust. That whole fiasco proved just how far Charleston's shadow stretched. His name had turned into clout currency for the younger crowd. But Charleston wasn't letting up. By March, he was back online, accusing Boosie of warning promoters not to book him. He turned it into yet another rant, bragging that he'd already reached out to the feds and was ready to get Boosie locked up over so-called threats. And just to cut even deeper, Charleston dragged Boosie's health into it, mocking his condition just to make the insults sting harder. Here he is once again, going off and swearing he'll get Boosie jammed up through the FBI.
In jail, waiting for the FBI to send me the right collar number, because I'm finna make a report on your mother people. And you make the man call your name specifically. The promoter specifically said your mother name, Lil Boosie. He implemented you and implicated you. Finna go to jail, back to jail. You gonna be on your knees, but them knees gonna be bleeding.
Once again, Charleston had zero proof, but that didn't matter. He said it loud enough and the rumor stuck. Boosie even admitted he's been getting calls from guys already locked up, clowning him and asking when he was gonna join them. Imagine being Boosie, already carrying the weight of a looming federal sentence, and then hearing dudes inside cracking jokes before you even touch the yard. That's pure insult to injury, and Charleston knows exactly what he's doing. Here's the part that really got people whispering. Boosie didn't even push for a trial, he went straight for the plea. And honestly, who can blame him? Just picture Charleston White popping up in court. Y'all know he would have turned that courtroom into a circus, testifying, pointing fingers, and sprinting to the blogs the second he stepped outside. And it ain't far-fetched, because Charleston has a whole history of snitching, and he's never been shy about it. According to reports, when Charleston was just 14, he was involved in a robbery with some other teens. During that robbery, one of them, Antoine Doolittle, shot and killed a man named Michael Levy. When trial time came, Charleston took the stand and testified against him. Now in snitch culture, that's unforgivable. Even though he was just a kid, people still drag him for telling on someone in his own crew. But Charleston doesn't run from it. In fact, he defends it. He said, "I was young, I was in court, I told the truth." That's not snitching, that's survival. Here's Charleston breaking down exactly how he justifies snitching, in his own words.
I'm a street kid. I'm not a criminal. I'm a kid who was raised to tell the truth. When my mama come in and say, "Son, what happened?" "Mama, I didn't do that." I got to pay for a lawyer. I got two lawyers, Carl Mallory and Louis Stern. Louis Stearns became Judge Stern, Judge Louis Stern. But they two paid for a lawyer.
But here's the twist. Recently, old footage from that juvenile case resurfaced, and the internet lit up all over again. People started dragging Charleston, calling him a straight-up hypocrite. Like, how you gonna preach street code one day, then brag about testifying the next? And here's the very clip folks keep using to put him on blast.
Pull off, and the hammer back on the gun. And then what?
Charleston doubled down, saying he never lived by no street code and doesn't care who's mad. Wild part is, he'll still call rappers rats, while proudly admitting he snitched himself. So when you look at the bigger picture, it makes sense why Boosie chose to skip trial and just take that plea. The last thing he wanted was a courtroom circus with Charleston White in the mix. This is the same guy who brags about calling cops, setting people up, and openly admits he testified as a teenager. If Charleston had even the slightest shot at being involved, you already know he would have turned that courtroom into his personal stage. Just imagine him pointing fingers, cracking jokes at the jury, then hopping on live right after yelling, "I helped put Boosie away." That's not even far-fetched. That's exactly how Charleston operates. That's exactly why Charleston is celebrating so loud right now. To him, this ain't just Boosie catching another charge, it's karma. In his mind, it's proof that everything he's been screaming, all the trolling, all the mocking, is finally coming true. And when you connect the dots, the beef starting in 2022, the shots at Tootie, the arrests, the non-stop snitch talk, it really feels like Charleston's been waiting, maybe even praying for this very moment. Now Boosie ain't locked up yet, but with this plea deal on the table, the reality is he could be staring at a full decade behind bars. And while Boosie's posting prayers and trying to stay grounded, Charleston White is out here clowning like he's already won. The streets are split, some laughing, some holding their breath, waiting to see if the hammer really drops. But here's the part that cuts the deepest. If Charleston is this loud while Boosie's still technically free, just imagine the circus he'll create if Boosie actually gets sentenced. It'll be a spectacle like no other. So what do you think? Is this Boosie's final chapter, or just another twist in the saga? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next one.